And thanks to Twitter, we are able to bring you, the fan, inside the Dolphins draft room. 49% of you say they should go defense, specifically Florida State corner Xavier Rhodes with that 12th overall pick. And Dan and Ted, when I look at what's happening in Miami in the draft, here's what's different. They now have a young answer for their quarterback of the future. They didn't have that for a long time.
Yeah, it makes those meetings a lot more enjoyable, Paul, when you start with the quarterback position and you feel pretty good about it right now, Ted.
Yeah, you really do. Ryan Tannehill goes at number 8 last year, a top 10 guy that kind of surprised a lot of us that they would take him that high, but came in, had a really nice 2012 campaign. So now you've got to go out and spend some green, and I'm certainly Jeff Ireland wants the luck of the Irish to help him there, and find him some weapons. And they do that in a Mike Wallace, Gibson, bring back Hartline. They've got some nice receivers now.
Now, we look at one thing they've lost, though, the left tackle, Jake Long, who's been there. We have Martin kicking over to the left side now. But how do you feel about the tackle situation where the Dolphins are right now?
Well, I'll tell you what, you don't do everything you did in free agency with those wide receivers, adding a Dustin Keller for Ryan Tannehill, unless you can protect him. And Martin on the left side, I'm not real comfortable with, especially when Yeatman only played one play last year. So they need to address that left tackle situation.
And one thing you have to consider is where they're picking in the draft, number 12 up there, the luxury they do have. Look at all those picks, 2 2s, 2 3s. But in order to get one of the top 3 left tackles, I don't think they'll be able to do it sitting at 12. Does it make sense for them to continue their aggressive offseason and maybe try and go up and get somebody?
Yeah, I think so. It reminds me a little bit of a scenario I had in Denver when we were looking to move up from 15. If a couple of the quarterbacks that year that Vince Young, Matt Leinart, and Jay Cutler came out started to fall, and if a couple of those guys start to fall in that tackle class, they may take this 77th pick right here, worth about 205 points, to move up 4 or 5 notches in that first round.
And a team like Cleveland, who could be looking to get out, to me, Lane Johnson's sitting there when Cleveland's on the clock. Let's take this 12th pick right here, and let's trade pick number 77, slide this down, and we use that, and we get ourselves Lane Johnson tackle we feel really good about.
Yeah, you really do. Big, athletic guy, can move around. He's going to set that left edge. And again, it brings Martin over to the right, which solidifies that side.
And one thing, if they can't get out and they're just stuck there, one thing they could do also, there's nothing wrong with just taking another stud interior lineman. You put him next to Pouncey. You plug Warmack in right here. Now you've got 2 guys that can really move people off the ball. Incognito can be a little bit of a head case, going to give you some penalties, but he's also somebody that can move people. You've got an interior now that can drive defenses off the ball. Now let's slide down here to the defense real quick. This is a pretty good group.
Yeah, it really is. And it starts with Starks right here. They franchised him, and you look at that, Paul Soliai, Cameron Wake, 15, I think, sacks this last season. So they've got a front that can create some pressure on opponents.
And one thing they need to do, they need to replace Sean Smith, the corner. But that's where I think these 2 picks right here, 42 and 54, I think you can find some corners. Let's go Ray Wilson and Alford. 2 guys right here from Connecticut, Alford from southeastern Louisiana. I mean, if you wanted to get 2 corners, you could very well easy do it with those 2 picks right there.
Yeah, it's a real deep corner class. You've been talking about it for quite some time right now, and the luxury with the 42nd and 54th pick to get 2 would be outstanding for Jeff Ireland.
And the good thing about this Dolphins team, especially if you're a Dolphins fan, let's look at what they've already done. We talked about it at the top. We got Mike Wallace. We didn't have him. Now we've got Dustin Keller. We slide down here. We've got Brandon Gibson. We bring back Hartline. Look at all these players that they have added. So you've got a lot of picks, Paul, but they've already done a lot of damage, added a lot of people. They are all in Miami to get this team to the next level.
So Lane Johnson, 3rd best left tackle in this class, you think is gone by 12?
I don't think he'll be there, especially with San Diego picking just right ahead of him.
Good point.